Welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. It's time to join the conversation.
Welcome to episode 120 of the Hardheaded Podcast. With here again,
Loser,
as always, with Troy and Chet. And today we're going to cover what's on Chet's mind. We're going to cover the top 3 reasons that you are excited for spring. And Troy's going to take us out with a good word. So anyway, Chet, what do you got?
There is a full-throated effort by Democrats and Republicans to get rid of free speech, basically.
Again?
It's interesting. It was heavy on the Republicans after 9/11 to get rid of free speech and squelch that, and now since what we saw a couple weeks ago. So you guys know, you know about the Twitter files?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Refresh our memories.
So Elon Musk bought Twitter,
right,
and he handed over 40,000 documents, internal communications, emails, whatever else, that he thought would be interesting and needed to go out to the public. He handed that off to a reporter named Matt Taibbi. He had worked for Rolling Stone, other different, independent published stuff. He's also an author, wrote 10 books, 4 New York Times bestsellers, been a journalist for 35 years, and a rather independent one. Naturally, I would call him a classical liberal. So not the liberal that you see today, but one that was, supporting the ACLU back in the, 80s, 90s, and, anti rules, freedom type stuff on the, and basically what I would consider to be a Democrat. He may not be a Democrat, but if he's not, he's an independent. Handed them over to him. He started digging through them, asked for some help from some reporters, Mike Schellenberg and Barry Weiss, 2 of them. Barry's a lady. They're known in the journalistic world as being relatively independent journalists. Definitely not towing the line for the right at all. Probably more critical of the right than the left, but definitely not just towing a line. They're independent thinkers. So they start going through the documents and start releasing stuff. What they find a theme, and then he will tweet a thread of whatever theme that was, and then Barry, and he'd take a specific run with this storyline, and then Barry Weiss would run with a different storyline, and then Schellenberg would go with a different storyline. And so, like every other day, you get these long Twitter threads under the Twitter Files hashtag of what they're finding, and what they found was that the federal government, specific agencies in the federal government, lots of different agencies in the federal government, were specifically going to Twitter and saying, take this guy out. Like, don't let him post anymore. Or if you see people talking about Hunter Biden's laptop right before the election, you need to throttle their feed to where they don't know that they're not getting people that see their tweets, right? So it's not just like ban accounts that suppress their ability to post.
That's a shadow banning.
Yes. So we have this thing, I don't know, maybe you guys have heard of it or not, but like the First Amendment that says the government will not suppress your ability to express yourself, and that through speech being one of those, and as directly goes against it completely. So, and they're doing it, right? And so you get these classical liberal journalists that look at this and they're like, man, this is messed up. Like, this is not cool. This is an attack on the First Amendment. And there's no way around. You can't sugarcoat this. We literally have emails from people that work for the government on government email accounts saying you need to stop these people from being able to post on your website. Because we don't like what they're saying, not because of anything else. It's not harming people. It's like, we don't want them to talk about this kind of stuff. So that came out. And of course, the Republicans took over Congress, in the last election. They, started in January. And so they have all the committee meetings that are firing up. And they said, we want to have a hearing on this, and we're going to invite these journalists. So Matt Taibbi and then Schellenberg showed up there. and they were outright attacked by the Democratic members on the panel. Attacked. So they called, one of them referred to them as so-called journalists. Like, these won journalistic awards. Now, these so-called journalists up here claiming, and they're like, I'm not claiming, I just published what was there. Like, it's not like I'm generating this. And then, how much money are you going to get paid for these? I'm actually losing money on this because I've paid people to go through the emails because it's too much for one person to read, just so I could get to the facts in the story and develop something that can be released. They, just basically accused him of being Republican hacks. One of them literally said, "We can't trust you because the Republicans called you up here. Like, because the Republicans set up this hearing and invited you, that means your testimony is not, we can't even listen to you. It's not valid because a Republican thinks that you should speak."
Oh my gosh.
And
See, to me, that's a problem with having lawyers and political scientists being what makes up
a majority.
Politicians.
Yeah.
It's not your normal American anymore, because a normal American, like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'll listen to you. I'm not just gonna, okay, try to legalize, legalistically try to worm my way out of, a situation that I just got into. It's stupid.
They own up to it. Or it's not them. The people on the panel are not the ones telling Twitter to take this stuff down. It's other people in the government.
Hold your people accountable.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and this is so digging into this, and we could go really deep. Maybe we do go really deep. The willingness to allow illegal things to happen in an effort for your point of view to win is horrible, right? So I oppose Matt. So if somebody shuts Matt down, even though it's not constitutional, I'm going to protect the people that shut him down because I don't want Matt to talk. Like that, there's no integrity to that. There's no ethics to that. The Constitution is supreme. It's whatever happens to them that helps me stay in power, I'm okay with it because they're evil. They're terrorists because they disagree with me. Anybody remember? We've covered it. We talked about it before. What are some more recent people that were labeled as terrorists and need to be monitored by the FBI?
Parents at school board meetings.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yep.
Right? So how deep can this go? Not just having government agencies with no accountability held one way or the other, going and suppressing free speech through social media. What about the whole terrorism thing? So you get into warrantless spying on people. So one of the things that's coming up here really soon is the opportunity for the federal government to extend the FISA court. Does anybody know what the FISA court is?
Yes, but vaguely.
Vaguely. Troy, you're gonna Google that while we're talking here?
Negative. I do not know what that means.
All right. So the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, which was actually passed back in like the 60s or 70s, it's old. It gave the opportunity, the ability for government agencies to surveil
1978.
foreign entities on foreign soil, because you don't have to worry about constitutional protections if you're not focused on U.S. citizens. So 9/11 comes along and George Bush signs an executive order that set up a specific FISA court. So you can, instead of going to a judge to get a warrant, you're going to go to this FISA court, and the FISA court can issue a warrant under the cover of darkness so that people don't know they're being surveilled. Like if you get a warrant for your arrest, they're going to come say, I have a warrant. Or if you a warrant to search your property, they're going to come tell you, I have this warrant, I'm going to search your property. If you're a terrorist, you're going to stop doing those terrorist activities, right? And whoever was doing them with you, they're going to run away because they know what's going on. Well, if you want to catch everybody, you want to do it warrantless, or in this case, a FISA warrant, which is all nobody knows. Does anybody remember the FISA warrant issue with the presidential election for Donald Trump?
No.
The FBI was falsifying FISA warrant documentation and taking them to the FISA court. FISA court was approving them to surveil Trump because they doctored up the warrant, lied on it, and said he's doing some stuff with foreign. It's all foreign, right? FISA is foreign intelligence. So they talked about one of his staffers meeting with somebody at a foreign country, and that's where they talked about Russia collusion, and they're going to get paid to do whatever. So it's FISA then, right? It's a federal agency. So, I mean, a foreign agency. So the FISA court applies, although they were falsifying documentation to give it to the judges. Well, then under the FISA court after 9/11, Bush said we got to speed this up. Maybe we can just use the FISA process, the FISA Act under Section 702, to not even get a warrant. We're just going to go do it as long as it's foreign. So if there's a foreign phone number, so Troy, if you call somebody in, I don't know, England to talk about whatever, they're going to monitor that phone call on the receiving end, basically, right? He's calling a foreign person, so I'm going to listen to this phone call. All that information is going to go into a mass data lake, if you will, and then we will mass search the information that's there to find keywords, whatever else, and have that spit out a report, and then we'll decide whether or not we need to surveil Troy because he did talk to somebody foreign and we didn't like some of the things that he said, so now we're going to just do this. And it's still warrantless at this point. Just up to the agency to determine whether or not going to do that. And then in, I think it was 2013, Congress finally said, or it was 2008, they said, that's been an executive order. We want to go ahead and make this law. So they passed a law and made it legal other than just an executive order and said there's a law that allows Section 702. It's codified into law now. They can use this, but it's going to expire in 5 years. So this is all under Bush. And then who comes along after that? Obama. And Obama at that 5-year marker said, let's re-up. We want to do this again. So Congress votes, passes, he signs. Trump comes into office. What does Trump do?
Signs it again. Comes up. Yeah, we want to keep this going. I knew it.
And then Biden's got the opportunity. His first opportunity is coming up. And there is starting to be a shift, and this goes straight back into the Twitter files, where it was 100%. Actually, when Bush started doing it and they voted on it in 2008, there was only one person in Congress that voted no, a Democrat, and said, I like what this could do to help us protect us from terrorism, but I also see down the road, we're opening up a can that we may not be able to put all this back in there, so there's no way I could approve this. And then since then,
who was that Democrat? Do you know?
We can Google it. I don't remember.
Troy. Google.
I'm on
Section 702 lone dissenter.
DISS. I think.
But ever since then, whenever Obama had the opportunity to extend it, more Republicans opposed it, but not enough to overturn it. And then when it came around for Trump, more Democrats were opposed to it. And now with what we see that's happening on the outright attacks of conservatives, school boards, whatever else, parents at school boards, people are going and saying maybe we have a chance with enough of the Democrats that were never for it.
Well, and we're also not in current conflict. During all those presidencies, we were at a war on terror. So that was the reasoning to start,
Matt, what a great point. Where
He said war and terror with air quotes.
Where is the political factions of today? Where the FBI, Department of Justice, where are they saying our biggest threats are right now? Foreign or domestic?
Probably domestic.
They're saying domestic. Right? So
I would be worried too if with everything that's going on. I mean, and that to me, I think it's good that they're worried about their own people.
So if you get in,
They should be.
watch it. I'm not condoning this. What Matt's saying, that's not good. Just go to his house, not mine. He's not giving me any eggs anyway. What's
I better not kill my chickens.
You get into some of this stuff. Judge Napolitano wrote an article about it that was released actually 2 weeks ago that says they started digging into how far they would go. Like, so we talked about a phone call earlier. Like, you talked to somebody that was overseas. Where they have taken this Section 702 is 6 degrees of separation. So if Matt had contact with somebody overseas and something in that conversation flagged in the system and this mass data review, then they would look at Matt's contacts and go, let's say you only had 10 friends in your phone, which is a overestimation probably in my opinion. And they would take those 10 people and then go into their contacts and then go into their contacts and then go into their contacts.
Right.
6 people away from you. So you turns into 600 people. So those people never talk to anybody in a foreign government. That's messed up. And Rick, wonder how often this happens. Well, from December 2020 to November 2021, so 11 months, there were 3.4 million of those queries into that metadata. In theory, now some of those queries could have been for the same phone number, right? Same person. But in theory, if you go 6 people deep into 3.4 million queries, you got everybody in the U.S. You know who brought this up?
That was a long pause, silent pause.
You know who brought this up? Edward Snowden. So this is what they're doing. Where's Edward Snowden today?
Russia.
He's in Russia.
Hiding.
He's not welcome back here. They want
That's
to kill him.
right.
I think he's not necessarily hiding anymore. I've seen some interviews that they've done with him where they bring him out on one of those stands on an iPad, and he'll do presentations in universities, and they'll bring
I got you. Yeah,
they'll bring him in digitally to give talks. It's pretty good.
yeah. But who went after
He's
Snowden?
smart. He's a smart guy.
Who went after Snowden when he came out?
One at the FBI.
It was mostly the Republicans, though.
Oh, you're talking. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know where he's a threat to our national security. But who's praising him now? It's mostly Republicans because he's blowing the whistle on the overreach of government into the United States citizens on this warrantless surveillance on top of this suppression of free speech. So basically, our foundation of our country from a constitutional perspective in the First Amendment and the Fourth Amendment are blatantly being violated and being supported by a majority of those in Congress and in the bureaucratic system of the government, NSA, FBI, CIA, you name it. There's any 3 initial government agencies messing with us. So anyway, that's what's been on my mind. Nothing, just a little light reading.
Woo! I can't find the person's name, but the government has more than 100,000 targets for surveillance and collects hundreds of millions of communications per year.
See what's funny that you brought that up is I watched this docu series, I guess you could say. It's called While the Rest of Us Die, and While the Rest of Us Die, and it was it basically goes from like the Cold War through COVID and all that kind of stuff, and how the government protects itself to keep the government going. Mm-hmm. It doesn't care about the people. And so it's everything that they're doing here when you're finding this stuff out, and you know the government's scared because they're like, well, we're going to get caught because we've been doing this bad stuff, but we have to survive, so we're just going to change the rules, change the laws, or whatever we need to do to make ourselves be quote legal, right?
Yeah.
But we're just going to change the rules. And they
no matter what side of the aisle you're on.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. It's all government, because there's, they talk about and they're real heavy on attacking Trump and Nixon and Bush. There's not much mention of a Democratic president doing anything ever wrong.
Just as dirty.
But some of the points they made in this, I was like, if you apply it to the whole government, I go, it's pretty well done. And I agree with what they're saying. It's like all these underground bunkers that have been figured out and these places that, underground that they have for all these people to go in case of an emergency. And it's like, they're saving people in the government, but they're not worried about saving the American people. And, even with COVID and stuff like that, like, hey, we're going to get you over here. We're going to quarantine so you're safe. And, everybody else is just kind of screwed. And even people in the White House didn't know some of this stuff. Like, they give out cards with directions to safe houses, kind of like a driver's license. And it's like your ID with directions if something were to happen, and that's where you need to go. And so they brought this to light. And one of, I can't remember, I think it was maybe George Stephanopoulos or something like that. And I think that's who it was, but I think he had a card. Mm-hmm. And but his assistant didn't have one. So she didn't know anything about it, but he had one. So they want to save him, but they're not worried about her.
Right.
And so it's, the government only exists to self-sustain, I believe, anymore. I don't think it's there for the benefit of the people at all. Everything is that you're a slave to the government, almost like the government is now the matrix. You're inside that. And
their biggest threat is you wanting to get out.
And thinking freely and wanting to do what you want to do as a free American. They don't want that. They want you to be in line, rank and file, do things the way that they want them done. And they'll throw you little pieces of candy or little benefits here and there to keep you tied onto the tit. But
when did they do that during COVID? Did they just give people money?
I think they just gave people money to stay home and said, hey, we really need you to stay home right now.
Yeah.
Hey, shut down your business. You don't need to work your business, but this company can run and this company can run because it supports government. But this one can't and this one can't because of, whatever reason. It's not, what do they call it? Not an essential, non-essential business, But that business is essential to me and my family. And I don't know. It irritates me a lot. And I think people need to go back to being more self-sufficient and doing stuff on their own and just.
We may be beyond that though.
We may be. I don't know, but I don't know. I'm almost tired of talking about it. It's like, well, what do we do to correct it? How do we fix it? What's the path?
I don't know, man. Maybe educating people that it exists in the first place, and that everything that you said about the government self-sustaining is every politician, not just the ones that they disagree with.
Right. It's every politician, because the government is. The government's not a person. The government is a thing.
Yeah.
Those people are a slave to that thing because that thing supports them. The politicians, they're getting their kickbacks and their salaries and all that kind of stuff from the government. So of course and most of them, they've got so much money anyway from, wherever it may come from, salaries, lobbyists, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they want to protect that. But I think a lot of them are more drunk with power than they are with money.
Yeah. Well, we'll just keep talking about it, and hopefully other people smarter than us will come up with the best way to solution this situation.
Yeah. I hope so too, because it's annoying.
More than annoying. That'd be really annoying when they show up at your door in their SWAT vests and helmets and.
Oh, buddy.
Please.
They don't need to do that. We can just have a nice chat on the lawn. They're not coming inside.
What's next, man?
Oh, we're going to move on to top three, but first we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to cover the top 3 reasons why we are excited for spring.
Are you driving traffic to your website? Do you have an engaging homepage? Better yet, does your homepage have a video? We recently created a video for a client about his business and the services they provide. Since he placed the video on the homepage of their website, he has had a number of clients specifically say they decided to use his services because of that video. At Trussell Media, we help businesses create engaging videos to host on their websites, email to clients, and use in their social media marketing. Contact us if you're interested in creating a video for your homepage today. TrussellMedia.com. Fill out the form at TrussellMedia.com/contact. Let us help you tell your story through video.
And we're back.
We're back with the top 3 reasons why you're excited for spring. Troy, what do you got, bud?
All right, number 3, warmer weather, but more importantly, fishing in warmer weather.
Okay, you saved yourself there. I was about to slam you for being a wimp, but I'm with you.
No, like I've been fishing a few times this winter with a good friend of mine. It's got a nice boat, and man, it just gets dang cold out there. We've slaughtered the fish every time though, so that's good.
Nice.
Yeah. Number 2, time change. It just changed about a week ago, and it's so nice. It's really nice.
Daylight a little bit later.
Yeah, it's nice having daylight a little bit later. The kids stay outside a little bit more. They get more exercise, and yeah, it just makes the night flow a little easier. Start grilling, you know. Oh, sorry, that may be one of y'all's.
You could start grilling.
You could.
But I basically do that year round.
You could not have stopped grilling.
Yeah, that doesn't change for me in the summer. I basically
Well, I do grill on certain
more of it.
Yeah, on certain days in the winter, I can pick a day to grill, but my grill's on the back deck. So if it's windy at all and it's below freezing, my grill's not good enough to.
I got you.
We usually eat raw burgers if I try to grill something.
I guess it's not healthy. It's not good.
I think that's pretty normal.
Yeah, no, it's not good. All right, and number 1, which is kind of still in winter, but it's crawfish season in the spring.
Yes.
Favorite thing to eat. I'm excited. It's crawfish season.
Traeger boil.
Oh, we're not going back there.
It.
We're not going back there.
No.
At least he called it a boil.
It is it's a Traeger
Not a
boil.
A Traeger.
Yeah. So
I know, but
you finally converted.
No.
Thank you.
But he used to call it something else, didn't he?
Boil.
It's a Traeger boil.
He called it a boil, but he was smoking it on a smoker.
Yeah, so it's not a boil.
Yeah.
It's a Traeger boil.
No, it's not.
He joined
It's not.
You heard
jumping
it.
on.
You heard it here, folks.
I joined
you,
nothing.
All right, Matt, what you got there?
All right. Number 3. Fishing.
Hey, all right.
Yep. I got, I put those catfish in my ponds about 3 years ago now.
Yeah.
And I haven't really checked on them at all other than anytime I go out, I'll just throw them a little bit of feed here and there, and I can see that they're getting bigger.
Yeah.
I haven't been out there in a while, so I'm pretty excited to see how big they're getting. So, and I like to fish the small ponds and stuff like that, and just kind of be by myself, not have to worry about a bunch of people. Number 2, soccer. Love it. Love going to the games.
Yep.
The cool games in the morning, some of the rainy games where you just sit and all the other parents are watching from their car, but you're out there on the field watching the game, just getting soaked. I love it. I don't know what it is about those. I just love being out there in the springtime, enjoying the weather, watching kids play ball and having fun. And number 1, the garden. Growing peppers, potatoes, planning for this stupid government.
Peppers.
When all the shelves shut down, all the banks go under, I'm going to have potatoes and onions and eggs, and I'm not going to pay attention.
How many potatoes did you get last year?
I planted, or I should say my daughter planted 10 plants, and out of those 10, I think we ended up with around 25 pounds of potatoes.
Yeah.
On that, so not bad. I'm going way more this year because those potatoes were so good. We just ate them so fast. So I'm excited to plant those potatoes.
My wife has said she wants some raised beds this year.
I think that's a perfectly fine thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll see how
I
it goes.
highly recommend the raised beds. They're so much easier. You can't get as much in there, obviously, as just tilling up the ground.
Well, I'm not going to till up my yard.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're a good alternative when you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. How are you going to keep that horse of a dog that you have out of even a raised bed?
I don't think he'll get in it.
Good luck.
Huh?
Oh, Rosie, our dog, our golden doodle we had beds that are about 3 foot high. She
Yeah.
still got into them and ate all my stuff. I had to put chicken wire around it to keep her out.
What?
Not kidding.
Man, just tell her don't do it.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I tell my dog Tasso, I'm like, hey, don't do that. And he won't do it. I'm the alpha dog, man.
Report back.
I'm the alpha. He knows.
I had the dogs when I had the pepper plants, and they were last year, and they were
Yeah.
they were getting big. I had one go up and start eating the leaves on it, and I'm like, give him that look.
Yeah.
Nah, nope.
Yeah. I mean, when he goes outside, like I'll open the door and say, hey, don't bark when he walks out the door. So he just goes out there and he doesn't bark. When anybody else lets him out, he barks. Now, unless somebody walks in front of the house, then he goes nuts.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited about the garden, getting all the stuff in, and hopefully another successful harvest, and maybe get some hot sauce out of the production this year.
All right. Well, my number 3 is I'm just ready for things to be green other than my yard. I don't want to mow.
Mm-hmm.
Normally you get, I don't know, maybe I don't know. I, in the past, it's gotten, I'm ready to get that yard looking good again. And now I'm over it. But other than that, I want some leaves on the trees. I want some shade. I want to be able to look out at my property and see green and not brown. Number 2, fishing. I've already been fishing. I'm doing okay.
In the backyard?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Got a pretty big mess of crappie out there right now. Decent size too on a couple of them.
That's awesome.
When's the?
No, shut it. No, I don't want to hear it.
Is that your number 1?
When's the what?
Fish fry.
No. Why is it that everybody, when I catch fish, everybody's like, when's the fish fry?
Because when I catch fish, everybody wins a fish fry.
Not me. I don't say that.
I don't say that either.
When you post a deer picture, do I say, hey, I can't wait to eat that tenderloin? I'm like, no, good job, Matt. I'm glad you killed a deer.
Hey, good
I
job,
would
Chad.
like-
I'm
yeah,
glad
I
you're
would-
catching fish in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now share with everybody else, as Jesus would do. I mean, I'm just saying.
Jesus would just
I mean,
multiply.
I'll
Tell you what,
I do remember-
two fish, and I'll give you all you can eat.
I do remember a podcast where you said, just invite people over more for dinner and have more dinner conversations. And
That's right. Break bread and eat fish.
That's what you said.
No,
Now you're going to get hypocrite.
not people that you invited yourself. You're not. I didn't invite you. You're like, oh, when can I come eat your food?
I didn't say when can I come
The
eat your
hard
food. I
work
said,
you put in building that fish habitat in your yard, and the hard work you go out there and figuring out which jig you need to throw, and you catching these fish. By the way, when am I going to get to come and capitalize on all that effort you put in there?
if you listened, I said, when's the fish fry?
Yeah, because I want to show up at that time
But
and
I
eat all
didn't
your
say
fish.
you assumed.
Yeah.
You assumed.
Oh yeah, I know exactly what you're after.
Give me some fish.
Number 1. I'll give you some fish. Number 1, I'm gonna put one in the bottom under your truck
Hey,
seat. Let it bake
You
in there
bring
now
me
that it's getting
fruit
warm
pies,
up.
but you won't bring me fish.
Severe weather.
Oh yeah, that's a good time.
It's time to start
I don't
paying
know that we're
attention.
going to get that much this year, though.
The La Nina is going away. We'll see.
La Niña!
We'll see.
La Policia!
I didn't know you were bilingual.
No, well, yeah, of course I am. I was
Okay.
Spanish Club president for 2 years in a row.
That doesn't mean anything. I took 2 years of college French. Like, oui.
That was from Anchorman. Remember? La Policia! When they had that big brawl. Brick killed a guy.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's my number 1, severe weather. It's that time of year. It gets me excited every year.
Last year was a little lackluster.
In Kansas, I mean, there's quite a bit.
Around the country,
Dude,
there was
Troy-
some pretty powerful
A
storms.
month
but-
ago, Troy's neighborhood where he grew up in Louisiana got hit by a tornado.
Got hit by a tornado.
February.
Street right
Yeah.
down the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's wild.
They had some in Florida too, which is rare.
Actually, it is rare this day and age, but if you go by, and
Almanacs.
this is like 10 years ago. the number of tornadoes by state. Florida was like ranked number 2 or 3 because that was right after all those hurricanes hit, and there's so many spinoffs from the hurricanes.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a normal severe weather, a thunderstorm, tornado, and not related to a hurricane.
I was so excited for spring last night that I was thumbing through after watching a documentary that was pretty heavy, and I was like, I don't want something that's just going to keep me up. And
so you want to watch a documentary that puts you to sleep?
Typically. But they had this little app, and it was like, forest with rain and thunder in the background and all that. And this new TV that I got, to play my Call of Duty on.
Yeah.
The sound on this thing is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded like a real thunderstorm. It was so awesome.
Yeah.
Put me right to sleep. I was like, it's springtime.
Good for you, man.
It's springtime. So if I don't have an actual thunderstorm to listen to the rain and the thunder outside, now I've got it on my TV. For some white noise to...
Your wife's cool with that? She just whatever?
I don't even know where she's at the time. She's watching TV on the couch in the living room. I'm already asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. All right. What's next?
Good word, Troy.
Yeah, Troy, bring us a good word.
Oh,
man.
yeah. All right.
That's you, man. I thought I covered this in the beginning, but
You didn't. We skipped
We're
right
supposed
over
to lead us through.
I didn't realize as
as the
host I was
guide
supposed to
of
kind of
the-
guide you through this.
Yeah. So I was waiting on you.
I figured we'd
you
done
know?
this 120 times.
He
already.
missed.
You might
He
have
missed
figured it
out on the pre-show notes
Yeah.
that he wrote.
I did write them. You're welcome.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, our pastor at church preached from 2 Samuel. We're going through the life of David, and he preached on a story that I hadn't heard in a long time, or maybe ever really remember hearing as a kid, or just ever read. And it's the story of Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth, that's a hard one to say. So he was Saul's grandson, but he was Jonathan's son, and Jonathan was David's best friend. And this was after the story takes place when David is already king. Jonathan is gone. Saul is gone. They're both dead. And Mephibosheth, being one of the heirs of Saul's throne, is basically in hiding. And he's a cripple from early in his life. And word comes out to him. David, is feeling like he just is missing Jonathan and their friendship. And
Yeah, but why he was in hiding was because typically when you have a new king take over, he would kill all the heirs
Right.
that could potentially come in and try to claim the throne.
Yeah.
So Mephibosheth was in fear that David
Of
was
his
going to
life,
find
yeah.
him and kill him.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so David's, thinking one day, I would like to find out if there's any heirs of Saul so that I can see if I can help them, just
Yeah.
like the opposite of what normal kings would go do. And so word gets to Mephibosheth that David's looking for him. And
Snap.
David wants to talk to him.
No, thank
know.
you.
And so long story short, fast forward, Mephibosheth ends up being presented in front of the king. And just the picture, the way our pastor kind of laid it out was really good, or the way Scripture lays it out as well as how Mephibosheth is crippled, so he's more than likely was brought in and put somewhere in front of the king's throne, and the king is there. He doesn't know if he's going to be judged, if he's going to be killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like he has no idea what's going to happen, and of course, he invites him to have a seat at the table, and it's just such a good picture of how, because everything points to Jesus in the Bible. The whole Bible, the whole story is all pointing to Jesus, and this one particular story is just a great correlation. Is that the right word? Of how we are broken and we are evil because of sin.
Deserve death.
And we all deserve death. And if we are brought broken and deserving of death before the throne of God. But we have somebody that interceded for us, who's Jesus. And then because we have been interceded by Jesus, God invites us to the King's table, to his table. And just a beautiful picture. And just thinking about who else is at that table. You know, David's sons were at that table.
Yeah.
You know, who knows what they were thinking. Either they were thinking, oh, great, yeah, come on. Or like, man, who's this guy?
Right.
You know, why is Dad being so nice to this guy?
Yeah.
He should lop his head off or something. You know, who knows? But just some of the, if you just picture that scene, right, and just all the different personalities and stuff going on. Yeah, and then I started picturing the future King's table and who all is going to be there, and it was just a good thing to kind of put your mind where what heaven's going to be like and what that table is going to be like, what food's going to be on there, who's going to be around the table. Just thinking about meeting the disciples, apostles of Jesus, and yeah, just good
Cool.
thoughts. So yeah, if you want to be at the King's table, got to go through Jesus, because he's the way, the truth, and the life. So that's what I've been thinking about. It was a really good sermon. And we could even link the show in the show notes. We can link it to the sermon if anybody wants to listen to it. We put that in there. So
Sounds good.
All right.
yeah, I guess the good word is Mephibosheth.
Table.
Spell it.
Table.
King's table.
King's table.
All right.
You are invited to the King's table through Jesus Christ.
Now, if only Chet would invite a crippled man over to his house.
Hey, you got more time to fish than I do.
That's awesome.
No, I don't.
I think you do.
I don't think so. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.